Dorothea Lynn Dix' journey for a change began when she was born April 4, 1802 in Hampton, Maine. Dorothea's young but hard life began while growing up in Worcester, Massachusetts, while taking on the role of a responsible young lady by nurturing her two younger brothers. While Dorothea's mother, Mary Dix, suffered from depression issues, and her father as a religious fanatic but as an alcoholic as well, Dorothea said she really didn't know childhood due to this kind of household. This is when Dorothea thrived for a change. Even though Dorothea didn't have much of a father figure, he influenced her to read, write, and get involved with schooling. Due to Dorothea's unsuitable living conditions at home, her and her two siblings moved to their wealthy grandmother's house in Boston, Massachusetts in the year 1814. At this time, Dorothea was 12 years old, already knowing how to take care of her two younger brothers. While Dorothea's grandmother thrived for her to be a more responsible young lady, she sent Dorothea to stay at one of her aunt's house for a while. When Dorothea moved to her aunt's household, she immediately took on the role of becoming a respectful young lady and attended many wealthy and fancy parties. At one of these parties, Dorothea met her second cousin, Edward, who talked to Dorothea about her future plans. At the age of 14, Dorothea knew she wanted to dedicate her life to help other people. Edward suggested schooling, and she agreed. Edward and Dorothea fell in love, but frightened of love, Dorothea moved back to Boston and founded a little school for girls and started teaching there with still a passion to help in need. In 1841, at 39 years old, Dorothea started to teach at a women's prison school. This prison is where she first saw and discovered the horrific treatment of the mentally ill in these prisons and poorhouses. When Dorothea saw this treatment, she was horrified and didn't believe that the mentally ill patients should be put in prisons just because of their differences. Dorothea then began traveling to different states to see how the conditions were in the other state prisons. Dorothea realized that the treatment was also cruel in other states and presented a document to the Massachusetts legislature asking to expand the budget for local and other state mental asylums. Dorothea then went worldwide and started to explore other countries and also documenting the conditions of mentally ill patients to then campaign to establish mentally ill hospitals. Dorothea was passionate about making a change and got involved with federal level and talked to Congress about the expansion of land to be put down for the benefit of the mentally insane. The president vetoed the idea, so Dix went to Europe, discovering a great difference among the country's so-called hospitals for the mentally ill. Dorothea changed many prisons and took mental patients into maid asylums and better hospitals. While her efforts on helping the mentally ill, she created many institutes across the U.S. and Europe. While Dorothea Dix created these institutes and hospitals, she got involved in the Civil War about 1861. Dorothea Dix was a highly ranked superintendent nurse while still helping people, which she loved to do. Dorothea left behind many legacies involving prison, social reform, but she was also the first woman to serve in such a high-ranked capacity in the federal appointed role. With Dix knowing medical treatment, her skills were very much needed for the war. Dorothea was a very hard worker, but often fought with many army officials and was eventually put out of her Civil War position in 1863. After the war, Dorothea Dix still continued to write and offer assistance to the new improved hospitals, the mentally ill, and prison reform. After a long life as an author and social reformer, Dorothea Dix died in 1887 at 85 years old in a New Jersey hospital that was made in her honor. Dorothea was one of the most effective reformers in American mental institution history. Some of the many ways her legacy lives is through fountains and graves made in her honor. Dorothea Lynn Dix' leadership to new hospitals, prison reform, and assistance and support to the mentally ill will be known, but her legacy to these events will be forever.